Welcome. This is the regular meeting of the City of Erie Environmental Advisory Council. It's 3 o'clock, Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. We'll begin with roll call. Huz is present. Mason?
Here.
Campbell?
Present.
Carey?
Present.
Lupo?
Here.
Tuffer?
Here.
Bacon's present. I'm kidding. Associate Member Tarvin? Walmsley? Is absent. Wedekin is absent. Other, Director Spry. Moore. And Peelman. All right, let the record show we have a quorum. On to the next item on the agenda, amendment and approval of the agenda. I do have one item to add under new business. This would be the Keystone Planning Grant that will be discussed. So we'll make that item D, if that's okay. Yes. Okay.
E, it shouldn't be extreme cold weather, just extreme weather, so I just want to remove.
I would just like to remove cold weather from new business item B so that it just says extreme weather and trash pickup.
Yeah, I had asked to have someone from the sewer treatment plant come and talk about industrial pretreatment and pollution prevention. So I just wanted an update on what's happening with that.
Was,
I mean, just you're adding things.
yeah, I mean, was Mr. Rossetti able to attend the meeting?
I didn't request that of
Okay.
him, and I did speak with you, Freda, and mention that to you already, that I did not request him to be at this meeting because I had mentioned that I wanted to speak with the mayor regarding our priorities, and she hasn't received the letter yet from EAC. After that, I hope to have.
No, I don't think I knew that, but
Yes, we did speak about that.
We'll definitely have it on the agenda for next month.
that's all
Okay.
I don't want it to get lost.
Okay, no, definitely. All right, any other amendments? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to accept the agenda with the proposed amendments?
Motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in
Could I
favor?
ask people to speak into their mics? I'm having a little trouble hearing you all. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Next item, approval of the January 2026 meeting minutes. I believe they were sent out, and hope everyone had a chance to review. Have a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve as presented.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Next item on the agenda, introduction of visitors. Do we have any visitors who'd like to introduce themselves today? Seeing none, we will close the introduction of visitors. Up next would be public comment. Do we have any members of the public who would like to make comments today? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Up next is our subcommittee updates. First update would be the single-use plastic bag ordinance.
We were not able to meet this last month because of personal reasons, I don't know, professional reasons. But we're just continuing to try and get out and conduct our surveys so that we can gather data for moving forward.
Sam, I just wanted to make one comment about, the committee has requested sort of the next steps and how we were to work with the city and continue moving this process along. And I just want to make a note that, again, we want to make sure that the mayor is aware of this subcommittee. And I know I mentioned this already to you. I think at the last meeting we talked about it, but just to know that is still on the staff's radar to make sure that we, at some point in the very near future, get the subcommittee and the mayor together for alignment there and hopefully support around the ordinance. So
I think we wanted to get it's noted on the letter.
it is.
Yeah, so I
Correct.
think we wanted to get the letter
Right.
first and then,
Yes.
yeah, the
yes.
next steps.
Just wanted to note that for the record, that that's still the path forward. Yes.
Very good.
Sounds good. Any other additional comments, updates under the single-use plastic bag ordinance? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the next subcommittee update, dark sky, which I do know we do have some updates on that one.
Yes, hello. Okay, just want to make sure that was on. Hi, everyone. Hannah Oleski, Neighborhood Resource Coordinator, Planning and Zoning. So a couple updates.
Slow down, please.
Thank you, Freda. A couple updates are, the first step is we are working with Matthew Falcone, the Historic Preservation Planner, to connect with someone in Pittsburgh government who has assisted in their dark skies ordinance creation. So we're just, we've all had a lot going on a little bit over the last few weeks, so that is first step. And then the next step is I've already reached out to some of you here regarding a meeting on March 6th in the planning conference room upstairs to talk about the next steps of where we want to go and kind of where we need to align with the mayor and, I think just getting some basic understanding of next steps for that since we did the presentation. And then I also have been working with Cooper to talk to some of the local experts in Erie. I just wanted to ask if we should wait to have them in this meeting to kind of get what we want as a committee under wraps and then invite them to a future meeting, or if they should be included in the meeting in March. I just don't want it to be, I want us to, I guess, have a little bit better of an understanding of what we want and where we want to go, so.
And just to backtrack a little bit, after Hannah and Cooper presented to the EAC on the dark skies, the next step internally was to really reconvene this subcommittee. And so Hannah reached out to only those members that have already expressed interest in the subcommittee, but we wanted to reopen it to the EAC board and ask if there are other members that would like to join the subcommittee. And then, of course, Hannah is requesting, are there other people that we should reach out to, not just the subject matter experts, but we have the ability, you have the ability as the board members to bring in local people that, may be an asset to this subcommittee. So I think what Hannah is asking is, do you want these subject matter experts coming in for your first kind of established regular meeting? Does anybody have interest in joining the subcommittee from the EAC? And are there other people that you can think of that should be part of this committee?
I have a question. So we keep referring to this as dark skies ordinance, but my understanding is we're talking about dark skies and bird safe.
This is specifically focusing on a dark skies ordinance.
Okay, I was not aware we had separated them out that way.
I mean, the bird population concerns can go hand in hand, but the focus is for the ordinance to be called a dark skies ordinance.
And so the subject, because that's different than if we're dealing with the Erie Birding Observatory, which
Right.
we were on the window thing.
Right.
We talked about it at the last meeting, Freda, and they're two separate initiatives. They are very similar, but they're two separate initiatives.
Yeah.
So this is how this one's moving forward, but the other one is not moving forward. It's just not moving forward at the
Yeah.
same rate.
I think that there's alignment between both. I think that what the bird safety is attempting to do and what the dark skies is attempting to do is protecting the environment in a holistic approach. I don't want to say, we're not going to take it into consideration because it is important. We made that apparent during our presentation. But the first step would be to just starting with simple things with lighting, specifically city properties. That can maybe come in a later conversation. I feel that would be appropriate. But yeah, I think at this time it's staying as a dark skies general ordinance research.
I guess my concern is every time yet another big glassy building comes up and we miss getting involved in the early stages, we miss getting involved in the early stages. And
Yeah. I understand your concerns. I don't want that to disappear from, the committee's purpose, but.
And I think as a dark sky committee, you have the ability not just to talk about regulations and ordinances, but you also have the ability to talk about things like the concerns for the glass and development. So I don't want to discredit what you're saying, and that certainly is part of the discussion. I think what we're primarily focused on after the presentation is to look at ordinance development and creation around just the dark sky initiative. So I do think that is part of the subcommittee, what you're talking about, and has merit there, so.
yeah, I guess the glass, to me, is a little more time urgent, but that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I also am just thinking of what can we get done first as a first step? And city property is probably significantly easier to do than telling a private business developer what they can and can't do with their building. And I think that also could fall into a different committee, not the Environmental Advisory Committee, so.
So are there any other members of the EAC that would like to join the subcommittee? You don't have to tell us now, but if you do, please reach out to Hannah, and she will include you in the email going forward. And then the other question was, to those that are on the subcommittee, do you want the subject matter experts, if they're able, to come in and be part of that March 6th meeting up in our office?
I did want to add, I do have a concern with more than 3 members of the EAC being on a subcommittee, because if you have 4 or more, you have a quorum, which would be a violation of the Sunshine Act.
Okay.
Unless it's open.
Well, you would still need to advertise it.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
we're not at this
Yeah.
point advertising. We could, but we haven't advertised in the
Correct.
past for subcommittees.
So that would be my only concern with
Okay.
any additional
Absolutely.
members.
Yeah.
And right now, we have 3 on the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, 3. Okay.
Yes, and
Good
then.
point.
So
Thank
who are
you.
the experts? Are they?
So
are
they're
they-
the 3 folks that we've mentioned before. So Mr. Brian Cheese, who works with the Erie School District, Dr. Jim, what's his last name? Cavio? Gavio, he works for Penn State Behrend, and then the woman from Carnegie Mellon who can only talk about it after work hours. Her name's, oh my gosh, it's going to slip my mind.
She's a professor.
But she's a professor in physics and astronomy at Carnegie Mellon. And then there is Katie Wickard from the DCNR, who would also expressed interest in assisting.
So not having anybody from the Erie Bird Observatory?
No, because the first step is focusing on what we want to do, and we're in a very preliminary phase. So I think your concerns, Fred, are very valid, just maybe not being addressed directly at this time with the first meeting.
I guess I'm a little flummoxed, because the Birdcast is the place that you go to find out what the days are to turn the lights off, and we're not including anybody from the birding community, it sounds like.
Well, we could. We could, yeah, that's the question. Do you think we should?
Dark skies
Yes.
is not just an astronomy thing, it's a
Yeah.
bird thing.
Well, Holly Short, right?
Right. I
We-
didn't
we-
hear her name
No,
mentioned.
she was
I-
not,
the-
she was not mentioned, but that is somebody that we can reach out to and
Yeah.
have as part of this.
That's
this-
what I was looking
Sure,
for.
okay. So noted that we'll contact Holly. We have been in contact with Holly before. I think you were on a few of those calls too with
Mm-hmm.
Holly. So yeah, that's a good suggestion. Okay. Anyone else? have-
I'm leaning towards keeping this first meeting just the more limited group. That way, we can define perhaps a secondary area that we also want to separately, consider. And then we can talk about our specific roles moving forward, and then it might make more sense to bring those other folks in, give them some more time to look at schedules and things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's where I was leaning towards, especially just because I think we haven't, I keep saying we, but you haven't met as a committee
Right.
individually and I don't want the information, I guess, to be bombarded and have questions asked that we might not necessarily know the answer to, and kind of just getting a footing and a better understanding, especially after, the research that Cooper and I have done, of just kind of knowing, okay, step one, we did the presentation, step two, where do we go from here? And yeah, I agree with you, Michael.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll keep that calendar invite then as is, and then if we decide a future meeting is in the works, which I hope it is, then we can add in the experts, including Holly from the Bird Observatory.
Thanks for
Yeah.
getting the initiative to plan and organize that.
Thanks, I'm trying. Awesome, thanks,
Thank-
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, we'll close subcommittees. Up next is old business. First item would be letter to Mayor Devlin. I had drafted a letter, sent it out to the board, the committee. And I know I received some comments back, incorporated everything. I sent out the updated, signed it. So I guess that will be off to the mayor.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Any other item or any other comments on that before we move on? All right, next up would be the LCAP updates.
Let me just pull up one email so I can reference it. So this week, we had a really good meeting with the Penn State students, and we had both the director and assistant directors of public works there. We had the chief of fire chief there. We had Basil Renzetti there, who is the bureau chief of sewers. Who else was on there? I think that was it. I might be missing some people from Cooper was there. I was there. Sarah was there. Yes. So we had a nice group. I was really happy to see that we had some department heads there. The students then reviewed what the purpose and intent of the project was, which is looking at our own facilities, and then discussed the deliverables. There were some good questions around electric fleet. There were some good questions also around just the inventory itself, and we're going to have another meeting coming up in April for their final meeting with the internally, and then they plan to do a presentation, an overview presentation for the EAC in April, I believe. Just to remind you of the final deliverables, they've provided information to Matthew Falcone, who's preparing a Keystone grant for the steam vents, to fix the steam vents for City Hall. They helped us with some data around that. City Hall solar and/or green roof, fire station facility rehab and retrofits, energy-saving performance contracts. And then the second deliverable is around facility benchmarking and prioritization matrix, which you saw last time. And I know there's a lot involved in all those deliverables, but, and the third one, is the fleet electrification study. So Sarah informed me that several years ago, the Public Works did receive a grant to go to garbage trucks, right, for
electric zero-emission vehicles.
Right. And that grant never got off the ground for a variety of reasons, primarily the fact that
manufacturers weren't able to make the trucks in the time frame that we had allotted to spend the money is one of the biggest issues. They were having trouble with the electric vehicle batteries.
And there was some financial feasibility that was attached to that. So unfortunately, we ended up giving the money back for that. So these Penn State students, one of them works in, what is his role in, he works in fleet management primarily for public facilities, but he was very knowledgeable and understood where our position was. And this study will help us in terms of if we do go that route in the future, transitioning our fleet from diesel to electric. So
Yeah, it was a $3 million grant, which sounds like a lot of money, but those electric vehicle garbage trucks were really, really expensive, so they were still being quoted much higher by the time we received the money, and then the manufacturers weren't able to make them, and then there was a whole bunch of series of issues that were concerned, and the time frame was very limiting. So unfortunately, we weren't able to do it. And it was a pilot project grant, so perhaps they'll reissue them again and at a future time when the trucks are more available. I don't know. Because there was only, I think, either 3 or 5 awarded across the whole state through the DEP.
yeah. They also, in their discussion, talked about our largest emissions, which is, I think we already know this, is with our fleet, is the police vehicles and the sewer treatment plant is the largest of the 2 emissions, which is actually not uncommon most other places. That's what you're finding. So there was.
It's large emissions because they're treating large amounts of water.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of what they do. It's not the amount of emissions is not out of alignment for what the plant does. It's just a big chunk of our emissions.
Yeah, and when they present to you, they'll recap their findings and then how the deliverables with that. So it's very interesting. And the students are, like I told you, they're working professionals. So it's a little bit different kind of project. They've been able to provide some really good information because of what they do. So.
And even though the heavy-duty electric vehicles grants didn't turn out, that doesn't mean we couldn't look into light-duty vehicles, which would be more what the police cars are. Those electric type of vehicles aren't backlogged as much as the heavy-duty ones are.
Thank you. That's all.
Any additional comments on the update? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the Penn State LCAP Local Government Operations Inventory. Is that the same thing?
Oh, sorry?
I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, so
Okay.
that was the same thing. I guess LCAP was but I should have taken that off, yeah.
That's all right.
LCAP is the Local Climate Action Plan update, but yes.
Okay.
We're good.
No, I just.
It's on to new
Confusing because
business.
both programs fall under the LCAP program at Penn State, even though one's LCAP and one's LGOP. So.
Okay. No,
It's confusing.
yeah. Thank you. All right, we'll be moving on to new business. First item would be Erie Coke Site and creation of a new EAC subcommittee.
Okay, as many of you know, Mike and I chair HECA, which is Hold Erie Coke Accountable. And we've been a group since 2015, and initially we started to kind of raise citizens' awareness about a Title V permit, and then it evolved into lots of things.
Are you speaking into the microphone?
The paper that you have,
Sorry.
the paper that you have gives you a little bit of the history. In the last, like 4 or 5 years, since the plant closed in 2019, EPA and DEP have both been involved in cleanups at the site. And the latest one was the 2025 investigation, and the results of that study are out, and it tells you where the link is if you want to look at it particularly. And HECA has, tried to get a little bit of initiative going outside of our committee with both the city and the Port Authority and the Redevelopment Authority. And it's very difficult. We can ask for a meeting, but then we're told no, and then it goes on. So our thought at our last meeting was that we would ask if the EAC would form a subcommittee, kind of look into the things. We just think it's time for the city of Erie to show more of a leadership role. and this is city property, and the city needs to be a more active player. We would like them to raise questions about the impacts of the pollutants. As we studied the analysis and the conclusion of DEP's reports, it seems very evident that, for instance, areas around Lampe Marina are being impacted by pollutants, and there are tourists that are there in that grounds. We tried to set up a meeting a couple of weeks ago with the Port Authority and redevelopment to talk about this, and they want to put the meeting off. So we thought if the city would do, if the EAC would say to the city, and we figured that you needed to do this not just on our hearsay, but perhaps you wanted to have your own subcommittee that looked at this closer, to raise questions about the impact of the pollutants, which are evident from the results of monitoring. We've also been asking for 3 years to initiate a community working group. This is something that worked very well in Tonawanda at the Erie Coke site that was closed there. This is a group of stakeholders that call for transparency, that were involved in getting more public engagement. So it's really a stakeholders group, and it would be made up of all of the players, and that's outlined in the proposal sheet. So because even if you read the DEP reports, I'm here to say many of you will not understand what it's saying about the pollutants. And for 4 or 5 years, we've asked for something that's readable by citizens. And the answer is always, well, the consultant doesn't do that. And our query has been, well, how about making that part of the RFP when you send it out to the consultants, that there needs to be a readable summary of what the impacts are. What are you telling us about all of this? So that that would be another thing to provide citizens a better understanding of the impacts of pollutants. So in other words, I guess what we're asking is the EAC willing to be a catalyst to try to get more involvement from the city in this process. And that's one thing that the EAC does, is make recommendations to the city. So I don't know, Mike, is there anything further?
I think you've captured it well. I mean, it's worrisome to the point that inaction is irresponsible, in my opinion. And I just don't think the people that are in the driver's seat of the process, maybe because they don't live in Erie, some of them, or aren't fishermen or people that camp at the Lampe Marina campground, that they just don't seem to have any drive to get citizens that could be affected involved. And that, I think the city could be in a good position to do that. What is the relationship between the city of Erie and the Port Authority, who now owns the property?
Are you asking me,
Yeah,
Mike?
anybody.
Okay. I think the relation, I know that we have been in contact with, well, first off, our mayor is on the board of the Port Authority, so there is a connection there. And we have had, over the last couple of months, several conversations with the port on various topics having to do with the parks, the land lighthouse, and also just some other developments that are going on down at the bayfront that are on the port's property. So, there certainly is a relationship. I can't speak to what it is in regards to the Erie Coke.
Right.
Of course, we know that there's been some news around what potentially might go there.
Yeah, see, that's the other big issue. I mean, they have had maybe 3 meetings so far on future use of the site. Now, we know future use of the site is not going to happen for decades, probably. But all of the meetings, a great majority of the future use has been recreational. That's what has come from the citizens that have attended. However, I don't think shipbuilding was one of those uses that was mentioned. People did not want to see more manufacturing or that type of thing in the area. They were looking more at recreational. But the city can be a driver in this. I mean, the city can set up the community working group, which would then take the burden away, somebody, and they would have the resources to do that. We're trying to just move it from this small group of 10 people that have a much broader, we have a broader group, email group, but there's basically 6 to 10 people that meet regularly about this, to the city level that going to have much more punch than we do in terms of saying what should be happening and how we should be looking at these results.
So if there's a property, so right now my understanding is the property is under the control of the port and the redevelopment authority.
The Port Authority owns the property, and the redevelopment authority is charged with the cleanup.
So in a regulatory land use permit kind of sense, do you have a concept? This is a big question, Jackie and Cooper, but do you have a concept of what kinds of things the city actually right now has control over? What kind of permits or anything like that?
In regards to which
Well,
aspect? I mean, are we talking
the cleanup-
building permit? Are we talking, I mean, all of the cleanup is not out
Right,
of the purview
no,
of the
right.
city of Erie, but
In terms of land use, yeah.
well, we do have land use processes and permitting processes, and of course zoning. There's always zoning, right? So yes, there are regulatory things that do affect that piece of land. But is there a master plan at the city level? We don't have that. Is there a master plan for the Bayfront? It's in the works. I mean, those are the types of things that are not exactly in our control at the moment, because
Yeah,
that's
see, and
not
that's
our
even,
land.
I would consider that even being further down the road.
Right,
What
I'm
we're
just
asking
curious.
for at this point is for the city to be a little more proactive and just investigating what's happening at that site, what kind of information are we getting, how is the public getting that information, who's helping to translate that information, and that's what this community working group could be.
So what I'm
And it would
hearing-
have people from the city, people from the Port Authority, people from redevelopment, environmentalists, business people, and it might meet 3 or 4 times a year, but they would get the information back to the citizens.
Is this within the arena of a brownfield?
There's a big discussion about whether the cleanup will be at the level of brownfield or at the level of Superfund.
Because it seems like there's, I get the emails all the time from the brownfields people, and they have kind of funding. I'm just making sure we don't miss an opportunity there.
Yeah, I think Tina Mangine at Redevelopment Authority has gotten funding from
But whether there's
brownfields.
any public involvement funding that,
And she's good, she'll come to meetings and we'll chat, but we just need, we feel, the city to kind of push a little bit on this initiative to move things another level.
So what I'm hearing is that what you really want is less of a subcommittee, and you want the EAC to make a recommendation to the city of Erie that they create this community working group.
That's what we would hope would come out of the subcommittee, unless you want to just take it from us. But we really, we really
Because
don't.
that's about as much as the EAC can do, right? We can advise the city council.
That's right.
But we ourselves could not create the community working group. We can't force the city to do something, but we could write a letter and present it to city council and ask the city council to create a community and the mayor?
Yeah, well, yeah,
The
so
city
it'd be,
council.
yeah, because we
joint.
advise both the administration, the mayor, and the governing body, city council. So, yeah, so we could make a recommendation, assuming that's what the committee would like to do.
Yeah, so I see it less as a subcommittee and more of the city of EAC making,
Yes, we were seeing the recommendation coming out of a subcommittee, but if you think it can come from this group,
Well, I'm curious if there's things that could happen in a subcommittee that could take the burden off of city administration to then facilitate a community working group, if that makes sense. So like in the subcommittee, maybe we're discussing some of the partnerships that might be necessary or, doing some of the education work so that we can then give potentially a more well-rounded, this is what we're looking for, instead of just a letter from the mayor. Or to the mayor. I think that maybe could be the final step of the committee work.
okay.
So are we creating a
Just
new,
to give them
That
something
makes-
more to react
yeah,
to rather
I
than
see.
just a letter.
Yeah.
so we're creating a new priority for the group here? Because I just want to say something out of all respect. I would have loved to have seen this ahead of time, because I've been trying to read it. I don't believe it was in the agenda packet. And
no, I thought it was going to go out, but it didn't.
Yeah.
We had talked about it, but then it
Yeah, I
didn't.
think right, we talked about it, but we decided to present it.
because I'm sitting here trying to read it, and there's so much information here. Yeah.
I think given what Aaron, that was a good point, Aaron. I think given what you said, I understand more now kind of what the subcommittee could do. How does it go from here?
I mean, so, from what I'm hearing, the subcommittee would sit down, make recommendations of how to create a community working group without the initiative of either the administration or the city council, right?
No. I think it was to provide, can you say what you said again?
Well,
We're working towards a letter to the city council.
Yeah, correct. Well, to make a recommendation regarding the community working group and like who would be part of it, et cetera.
Yeah, I think the committee could potentially work out some of the details
I
to
don't,
make a recommendation, but maybe that can just be a letter.
yeah, I don't know if making a recommendation to create a working group is under the purview of an advisory committee, I guess is where, like, to me, that's almost more like of a planning commission role than the advisory. I mean, we advise like I said, the city, not,
Planning Commission doesn't care about stuff like this.
I mean, we advise
That's the-
on environmental issues, right?
we
This
do,
is-
yes, correct, but we advise on them. Just to me, it sounds like we're going to advise to go out and create a group. And to me, that doesn't seem like something that would fall under what the state enabling legislation allows us to do.
I don't see why. Like, if you're allowed to give them advice, and your advice is that this issue is important enough, it deserves its own group, that's advice that you would feel needs said, unless you don't feel that way, and, the committee doesn't feel that way.
We asked them to write a letter about a solar bill in the state legislature. We have an advisory
But
role.
we weren't actively seeking to establish a group through the city, I guess.
The
To me, that
city's-
just doesn't seem like something in our role, but I could be incorrect.
Well, yeah, maybe I don't know. I think the request isn't just to create that group, but it's to take a more active role, because not enough citizens are being advocated for or being aware of what the problem is. And so it's kind of falling on the wayside because it's not in enough people's minds that this is happening and they're aware of what's going on. And so the recommendation, I think, would be more like, this really is a serious issue. There is a group of citizens that are concerned, but we feel it needs to be a much broader group, and it's a bigger topic than just HECA can do on its own anymore. And, one of the options is to create this community working group.
And it's something the city should be taking the lead in.
And could the city take a lead in looking into it more? I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on how you word it.
How did Tonawanda go about establishing the group? Who was the...
It was the mayor that initiated it with their, I don't know what do they have, DCNR, I think, in New York, and their EPA. But it was definitely a city-initiated group.
I mean, has anyone from HECA spoken at city council?
Pardon me?
Has anyone from HECA spoken at city council regarding the matter?
No.
I mean, that might be a first step for them. You get it out there on the agenda, let them know, like, hey, we've been in existence for 11 years. You know, this is a very serious threat to our environment, and hopefully they kind of pick it up. I know Ms. Poole from our liaison is here from City Council, so she would be aware of the issue. But again, just seeing that no one's spoken to City Council, I think that would be a good first
Yeah, see,
step.
we're aiming higher.
I think,
I guess you can contact the governor.
You know,
How you want to go.
really think that it is the city and the mayor's responsibility to be leading the charge.
so I think two things, my perspective, two things could happen from here. I think Matt's point is that, yes, somebody from HECA could speak. I think also, I wonder if Aaron could, I'm going to tell you, sorry. I'm suggesting, I'm not telling you, but you just seem to have a good
grasp, yeah.
way of kind of taking what Mike and Sister Pat want to do and maybe packaging it. You know, either kind of coming back next month and kind of laying out kind of more what the subcommittee could do, or creating a draft kind of letter, you know, whatever way after conversations y'all decide to take this.
Yeah, I think my questions echo what we just talked about, is like, what is the role of the EAC in this, and what legally are we allowed to do? I mean, because of HECA being an advocacy organization, this being a governmental organization, what's the difference, what's the line? I think there's just more research potentially and exploration to do about what the structure could be, while I do also
See,
support
we're not
more
mandating
conversation
that
about it.
anybody do anything. We are, you know, we want to make our recommendation and just bring it to the forefront in a way we haven't been able to do, and we thought this would be a vehicle that might enable us to do that.
And Sister Pat, I was in the meeting, I think it was about a year and a half ago, that you did bring this to the mayor's attention, the then mayor's attention. And you were requesting at that time to establish some formal council or committee to take on the lead.
Mm-hmm.
So the request, and this was the previous administration, but there was a request made by HECA for the city to be more involved in this whole situation.
Yes, and initially it seemed like the mayor was interested, but then the Port Authority and redevelopment kind of pulled back, and so the mayor did also.
I think, given Freda's valid concern about not having time to really digest this initial proposal, maybe what we could do with Aaron is redraft and revise it and get it in the hands of the EAC before our next meeting,
Yes,
to put it on the agenda to
Yes.
discuss.
I agree.
Okay.
You willing?
Yeah, I'm happy to work
Okay.
with you on that.
Well, that's reasonable.
That works.
Any other discussion? We move forward? All right, seeing none. Next item under new business, the extreme weather and trash pickup.
Hi. My name is Sam, and I'm trash obsessed. What initially kind of brought this to mind was with the recent snowstorms, there was a declaration made by the new mayor literally, I think it was at 6 p.m. before the trash pickup day, that trash was not going to be picked up as planned. I'm somebody who is like on local news multiple times a day, and I didn't see it until I was already in my pajamas on my couch, and my trash was already outside. And you know what I was not going to do? Change back into clothes, put on boots, and go outside in a snowstorm and bring my trash back in, because now the city has, said they're not going to pick up your trash. And the reality is nobody did, because the next morning, as I was driving to the gym at 6 a.m, there was trash everywhere. And this is not an isolated incident. It reminded me of times when we've had extreme wind events, right, where we have like 50, 60 mile an hour winds. We get massive SAISH events on the lake. You can walk between the aisles in Lake Erie on the west side, and Buffalo is under 12 feet of water, right? I mean, because of these extreme wind events, and if you're putting out garbage, that affects garbage, right? And so I was wondering if the EAC would be interested in crafting a suggested language for some type of a policy where it's like, and so we can put it out, and it's like, if the temperature is below X, if the wind is above Y, if, I don't know, Z happens, there will not be normal trash pickup until further notice. And then that way it's a policy that exists and people know it, and it can be in, various kind of City of Erie marketing materials, like the calendar that goes out that I love so much. That when I didn't get it by the start of the year, I was very sad because I didn't have a calendar. Okay, anyway, sorry. I know, I was just looking. Not blaming you. It's all Jackie's fault. Anyway, I was wondering how the EAC felt about this idea. Again, it would be a recommendation to the city, both the council and the mayor, for a policy. That's it. I will now get off my soapbox.
So I think it's not a bad idea unless is there a way it wouldn't work? I mean, if I always like to check first, Of course, we're not doing it anyway, you're just making a suggestion.
That's, I'm just wondering if there's interest among the EAC to make such a recommendation. And again, I don't know the process. I'm always confused on the process. But
I spoke to Leanne Parmenter a little bit about this situation after you had raised it, after that singular event. And it may be a good suggestion to first, we can maybe talk with Leanne about that, and even the streets department. I know that delays can cause issues with, obviously, with the, I don't want to say, not necessarily the, like, overtime and having to then go back and, it's.
You have to catch up. Yeah.
Right. So I think it may be, in terms of like process, maybe we have a discussion there with Public Works.
Okay.
And see if there's some interest around that. I know that became messy for them, even on the other side, because of the workers, and then having to work, I think, the next day, right? Having to. And then
where it was actually colder.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And what the preference would be even for the workers, and if they're equipped with the needs, if there's an event like that, and can they still go out if they have the gear? And I don't know those answers. I'm just rambling off questions.
Yeah, I wonder how they handled it during the 50-mile-an-hour wind nights.
No
right?
idea.
Like I can't imagine trying to throw garbage in some of the weather conditions that they have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I acquired an empty plastic garbage can in weather like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Nobody ever wanted it back.
What do you think, Sarah? Do you think that would be a good route to go? I mean, you're in Public Works and understand that a little bit more.
I think it's okay to suggest that we look into establishing a policy. I mean, it was a freakish event because the wind chills were -24. I mean, that's extremely cold. And the challenge was getting enough gear for the guys to have skin exposed in that type of weather. I mean, there's nothing wrong with suggesting they try to plan ahead and have established policies, because it doesn't happen that often is why we don't have an established policy. But if you're always, I mean, that's an extremely cold event, so nobody wants to be outside in that, no matter what. So I mean, the challenge would be what boundaries? What are the boundaries? Like how cold, how negative of a wind chill does it have to be? How negative of a temperature? And like you said, the wind speeds, I don't think they stop garbage pickup for wind speeds, even though, like, obviously when the winds are up to 50 and 60 miles per hour, I mean, trees are even falling down at that speed. I don't know that we've ever delayed garbage because of wind speed, but it'd be something to look into. I just don't know. I'm not as familiar with all of the details of the refuse department as bureau as some of the other bureaus, but I don't think there's anything wrong with asking them to look into it, but I think it's something that internally they would need to discuss and research, and, you know, and if they do have the proper gear, are the guys able, I mean, was it an issue of not having the right gear? I don't know. Because I know they quickly bought more, I don't know what they're called, I call them like turtle heads. The masks that cover more of your face and your neck, and, you know, or one single hoods, yeah, balaclavas and things like that, to keep the wind from getting in and covering your face more.
I was trying to figure out if the audience knew the answer because I heard feedback.
It's called a balaclava.
Oh, balaclava. Balaclava.
I did say,
Fun word for the day.
If I could add just a thought on my end too. We had issues on Mercyhurst campus with glass recycling bins. They were just traditional trash cans, but the wind would open them all the time. And
Yeah.
instead of, I don't know, having like, if we have to pick up the garbage during a wind event, if perhaps we could just invest in some ways to keep the trash cans closed and like distribute, like I was looking there's hooks and there's pulleys and
Bin,
such.
yeah, there's bin things, bin closers.
But we
Yeah.
still allow bags, and bags can just blow
Right,
away.
right, yeah,
Blow open.
that's a good point.
And so, I mean, maybe, again,
Bricks.
it's a good time to look into a policy. Maybe we do need to look at the wind more, because nobody's really considering how much of the garbage is blowing around past a certain speed of wind
Right.
speed. So,
I also have seen in other cities, larger cities, that have ordinances against people putting garbage bags on the curb without a trash can, putting in it. I had a friend who moved here from San Francisco who was bamboozled by the fact that people put garbage bags on the curb with no garbage can. That's a really good example of.
If only somebody sitting up here had been working on that for the entire 10 years she's lived in the city of Erie.
I would use a garbage can, but I don't really understand what is allowable, lid, no lid.
They have a preference of no lid and no wheels, but it's their preference of, you know, their people.
but the new bins we
But
give
how do
away
they,
have wheels
how do
and
they know the
with
difference
attached lids.
between my compost bin?
They don't.
That's,
It's also dark out, but that's a whole nother
Yeah,
animal.
that's why I use-
So
Well, they have to look in the bins. If they
Yeah.
look in the bin and it's recyclables, it's recyclables. If they look in the bin and it's compost.
Well, all recycling bins are supposed to be blue. That was dictated.
Right.
So
I-
recycling bins are supposed to be
It's
blue. If it's not blue, then it's trash.
unless it's compost.
Right, compost can go in open hard containers of any color, but usually you can look into them and see it's compost. But again, as my former college professor, Mike Campbell, used to say, there's always room for improvement. So I think suggesting something is still a good idea, because again, there's always room to improve the way we're doing things.
I don't, yeah.
I have a question. Who makes the determination regarding canceling of garbage pickup? Is that the administrative level, or is that like a bureau level? So it would be
It would
the
Public
administration.
Works and the mayor's office.
Okay.
Working together to make that decision.
So there is no parameters, it's just like, hey, because we feel it's dangerous for our workers, we are ceasing
Because of the
garbage
extreme
pickup.
cold of that event.
Okay.
And the lack of full face gear.
Okay, I was just
We're worried
curious.
about the workers being exposed to those temperatures because they're out there for hours, like 5 hours, and they're like, your skin will freeze in 30 seconds,
Just to be clear, I'm not advocating that it was a bad idea. I think it was a good idea that the guys were not out that night. I just want to make this very clear. I didn't like the timing of it, and that's nobody's fault. I'm, again, not mad at anybody. It's just raised this as an issue that maybe if we had a standing policy within the city of Erie, that then people would maybe know in advance. I just like to plan in advance. I'm really big on this, and garbage cans with lids, preferably bound somehow. But all of this is very complicated.
Right. So what it sounds like is somebody going to look into this further?
It sounds like
Or I don't know what we're doing
maybe
with this.
Jackie is going to help me to get a meeting with Lee Ann Parmenter.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay.
I also think that the new administration might have been working on some emergency management and preparedness. So I don't know where that went, but
We might already be working on it.
yeah, so I think this
Problem solved.
this is a good
You're
part of the-
welcome.
I don't know what's going on behind me, but I think Tori may have the answer.
I don't have an answer. I will tell you that it is a priority of the administration to have standard operating procedures so that we can ensure that our citizens are well informed as early as possible. So stay tuned. It's on my notes. I will pass it along to Mayor, and we'll see what we can.
Thank you.
So for those who couldn't hear, the new mayor is working on standard operating, the administration of the new mayor, maybe not the mayor herself because she might be busy, is working on developing standard operating procedures across all sorts of items, and this particular note will be passed on,
Thank you.
and further details will follow
right.
from Tori Williams, who eventually will get up to the microphone. We won't make her.
Any further comments? We're starting to run out of time.
Yeah, really.
We are out of time. Okay. Thank you.
All right, no further comments, so we'll go to the next item, final summary report, City of Erie tree inventory.
I'm going to make this one quick second because I know that we're running out of time, and we also have a new agenda. We have another agenda item, Matt, on the under
Yes,
new
I know.
business. Okay. We have the report. I submitted it to the EAC for your viewing pleasure. And now that we have this inventory, it's great because we the tree inventory that we did on all.
When did we get it?
I sent it last week to the EAC. We can talk through that a little bit more, maybe at the next meeting, since we're running out of time. But if you have questions or you have any comments on it, please let me know. This inventory is going to allow us to move quickly with funding and what our priorities are. So it's very helpful as a tool for decision-making. Thank
It's
you.
on the
Thank you.
18th.
On the 18th.
All right, sounds good. Any other comments? Hearing none. Last item under new business, the Keystone Planning Grant.
I'll do this in 20 seconds. No, I can't, I'm sorry. Matthew Falcone, the Historic Preservation Planner for the city. There are two grants that were alluded to earlier on today. Both relate back to historic preservation. One relates to construction work. The city will be applying to do some upgrades to our steam system here in the building. The other one, we would like to apply to hire a firm to be able to do a plan for our roofs. The plan would look at either greening the roofs or using solar or some kind of hybrid of both. I know it's a little unusual to look at this through the lens of historic preservation. What we would hire the firm to do is not only look at these plans, but tell us what's an option, looking at the kind of the structure of the building itself, and then what kind of impact it would have overall, because we are looking at this building as a historic resource, but we very much want it to continue to be sustainable. And so looking at the impact from stormwater runoff, also looking to see if there's an opportunity for solar panels, are all things that are part of our kind of movement into the future and focus on sustainability. So I would ask you, if you are so inclined, to help us with this grant by writing a letter of support. We've drafted one, and I'm happy to answer kind of any questions. I know that was very broad strokes.
Yeah, I would have to read it before we would. When are you seeking when's the deadline for the grant application?
Monday. Okay, so can we get it sent and
I have it right here.
He has it right there.
But we
Do you want me to read it real quick?
Yeah, I think it's not very long. I would read it into record, and
I'll read it into
if
record.
you make a motion
Then we can-
to agree to sign it, that would be the best, and then Matthew can then put it with his grant application.
Okay, so this is regarding the PHMC, Keystone Historical Preservation Planning Grant, Erie City Hall Green and Solar Roof Project, Dear Grant Review Board. I'm not going to give you the address, but it's dated March 2nd, 2026. I am submitting this letter in support of the City of Erie's application for a $25,000 Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission (PHMC) Keystone Historic Preservation Planning Grant to perform an environmental audit and assess the feasibility of a green/solar roof on Erie City Hall. This grant project includes hiring a consultant to conduct an environmental building audit on Erie City Hall, identifying opportunities to increase energy efficiency and determine the feasibility of installing a green roof and solar panels. Once written, this plan will inform city officials of possible building upgrades that can mitigate stormwater runoff, increase air quality, and reduce the heat index in downtown Erie. The City of Erie Environmental Advisory Council, EAC, is made up of appointed city residents who support city council and the mayor by researching environmental issues impacting the City of Erie and proposing strategies to address them. The EAC proudly supports this project as it aligns with our mission and opens the door to explore opportunities that can make City Hall more environmentally friendly and energy efficient. Completed in 1965, Erie City Hall has been a historic icon in downtown Erie and home to hundreds of city employees. With this plan, the city can find new ways to reduce energy costs and promote sustainability while being respectful of the building's historic integrity. Thank you for your consideration and the work you do to preserve historic buildings across the Commonwealth. The City of Erie will greatly benefit from PHMC's funding and support. Sincerely, City of Erie Environmental Advisory Council.
Boy, we're so arrogant.
I make a motion that we sign the letter.
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Sign it.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Now, it does say the whole council. Does everyone want to sign it?
That was an awesome letter.
But we shouldn't, this is the second thing that we're getting not in advance, and I really
Yeah.
request that we get things like this in advance.
No, I agree. I mean, I understand with the deadline of the
This
grant.
one was a little bit because of the timing,
Yeah,
so
but,
I'll try
yeah,
to do better
yeah.
next time.
All right. Anything else?
In your defense, I also just send out requests for letters of commitment for a grant that's due on Tuesday. So, it happens.
But I
So,
appreciate it.
I think it should just be signed by you, Matt, because I think if we have
It
50,
says I also.
yeah. You're signing, you're the president, you sign on behalf.
I'm not the president of nothing.
I mean, chair.
Any other comments on this? Seeing none, other business. A, Sustainability Coordinator updates.
Oh, hello. There's not a lot of updates since last meeting. We're still, as Jackie mentioned, the tree grant inventory is complete and we're wrapping up trying to get those final reports in and documenting where all the trees are on their website. I'm also working with Erie County on our annual recycling tonnages reports to the county, which then will go on to the state later in the year. I also met with Mayor Daria to brief her on a lot of the sustainability initiatives that comes out of my office in Public Works. And I'm hoping that now discussions will begin on establishing our priorities and how to support them and whether or not to create policies and which ones are feasible for short-term goals versus long-term goals. Also, I know it's only the end of February, but next week is March, and then it's April. So we're going to begin our Arbor Day plans for an Arbor Day event. And also, the first Saturday of May 2nd, is always our tire and electronic recycling day, so citizens can start to prepare for those events. We accept up to 6 tires per person and unlimited electronics. You just have to wait in line.
A very long line.
Thank you. Any comments?
Do we know which items people bring to the electronic events could have been recycled for free, like at Best Buy? Do people know that they can do that?
I don't know. I mean, I tell people if they call and ask, but I think Best Buy only takes items for recycling if you buy a new item there. They'll drop off all the time?
I've dropped stuff off.
Nice. So then the answer is no, people don't know that.
Okay. I think they take 3 items.
And one question we get a lot is like people ask, can I bring a toaster? Can I bring a microwave? Can I bring a
Treadmill?
dehumidifier? You can bring all of those things and we will recycle them because they do have electronic cords in various parts. But the main thing to remember is TVs and computer products cannot go in the garbage no matter what. It's not illegal for residents to throw other electrical items away, but it is illegal to throw TVs and computers in the garbage. So the event's mainly to help citizens dispose of those, but because we're recycling electronics, we will take any electronic device and recycle it that day as well. So.
Thank you.
For free.
Anything else?
Free to city residents.
All right, final item under other business, Bureau of Planning and Zoning updates.
I don't have any updates from last meeting at this time.
Any comments? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Whoa. I didn't even get to call the item. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, y'all don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.